Issues of Dividend Consideration 5, Module 256, Financial Management. This is the last of our discussions on the considerations related to the dividend policy, and here we'll talk about two things. The first one is institutional restrictions. Institution से मुराद वो इन्वेस्टर्स हैं जो कि बहुत बड़ी कंपनीज या फर्म्स की शक्ल में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं. इसमें हमारे पास बहुत से बैंक्स भी हैं, कमर्शियल और इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंक्स, कि जिनके पास पैसा शेयर मार्केट के अंदर या स्टॉक मार्केट में इन्वेस्ट होता है. ब्रोकरेज हाउसेस और बहुत बड़े म्यूचुअल फंड्स भी हमारे पास हैं जो अपना पैसा स्टॉक मार्केट में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं. These institutions actually have a very set investment policy. And in that investment policy, there are certain restrictions because of which they cannot behave like individual investors. यानी अगर एक आदमी अगर इंडिविजुअल इन्वेस्टर है तो उसकी मर्जी है कि जब जितने शेयर चाहे बेचे, खरीदे, होम मेड डिविडेंड बनाने की कोशिश करे, डिविडेंड के लिए होल्ड करे, ना करे, ये तमाम पॉसिबिलिटीज़ मौजूद हैं. But when we look at an investment from an institution's perspective, there are certain restrictions and which make the dividend policy relevant. The first one is that in many of the cases, the institutions would like the funds to be invested in the companies which pay regular dividend. यानी वो companies जो dividend नहीं देती, ये institutional restriction होती है और हो सकती है कि ऐसी कंपनीज में इन्वेस्ट ना किया जाए. So that will make the payment of dividend relevant. Similarly, there are investment out of endowment funds. Endowment fund असल में एक बड़ी अमाउंट होती है जिसको इन्वेस्ट किया जाता है किसी खास पर्पस के लिए कि उसके ऊपर आने वाली इनकम या रिटर्न उस पर्पस के लिए इस्तेमाल होगी. For example, if there is an education endowment fund, this means that whatever interest or profit or dividend or return that will be earned from that education endowment fund will be used for the education of children or students. So, endowment funds would not allow the caretakers or the managers of the fund to go for capital gains. And lastly, the liquidation of capital also be restricted. It is possible that it is restricted in case of institutions. यानी अगर हम आज अपनी इन्वेस्टमेंट को लिक्विडेट करते हैं तो हो सकता है कि ये वैल्यू हमारे लिए फ्यूचर में उतनी ना हो. एंड द लिक्विडेशन टाइम पीरियड में ऑल्सो बी सेट बाय द इंस्टीट्यूशंस कि ये हम 5 साल या 3 साल या 10 साल तक लिक्विडेट नहीं करेंगे. Now the second aspect, which is the last of our discussion on this dividend policy, is what is called financial signaling. A signal means that something that tells us about what is happening. Now when we talk about dividends, it is said that dividends actually sell some signals. These signals are to the investors and to the stakeholders. And financial signaling is very important. It is very much relevant when the markets are imperfect. हम imperfect markets के ऊपर पहले बात तफसील से कर चुके हैं. डिविडेंड असल में कंपनी की पोटेंशियल या उसकी स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ अर्निंग प्रॉफिट को शो करता है. एंड डिविडेंड इज नॉट पेड only out of the current profit, but it can be paid out of the retained profits of the previous years. So if a company is paying regular dividend, and even in a year where the company has not earned any profit, और वो साल अपने retained earning में से dividend निकाल देती है, so that sends a very strong signal to the investors that it's a very stable company and financially this company is not going to go down. And when a company announces that how much income we have earned in a particular year, this is one signal, but it is said that payment of dividend is a better signal. It is a stronger signal about the strength of the company than just announcing that how much earnings we have in this year. Consistent dividend payment is something which is considered as good. यानी हम इस पे बहुत सी बात पहले भी कर चुके हैं कि अगर कोई इन्वेस्टर रेगुलर कंसिस्टेंट डिविडेंड हासिल करता रहता है तो ये स्टेबिलिटी ऑफ डिविडेंड जो है इसको अच्छा परसीव किया जाता है, इसको प्रायोरिटाइज किया जाता है और शेयर होल्डर्स इसके लिए चाहते हैं कि उनके पास ये डिविडेंड हो. एंड फाइनली द लास्ट थिंग दैट द प्राइस ऑफ अ कंपनीज शेयर इज also affected by the payment of dividend. यानी जैसे ही एक कंपनी डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर करती है हम देखते हैं कि उस कंपनी के शेयर प्राइस ऊपर जाना शुरू हो जाती है. So market responds to the news of dividend. Although it happens that once the dividend is paid, the share price falls down because of the reduction in the value, but then it is something that sends a very strong signal. So lastly, concluding this discussion, we say that the two considerations which need to be accounted for are the financial signaling effect, which is through the payment of dividend, जिसे हमेशा consider करना चाहिए if the company wants to have a strong financial image in the eyes of the investors. And second thing is that there is a large amount of investment in the shares of every company made by the institutions, and institutions are very much restricted. So considering these 2 points, again we can say that the payment of dividend is relevant.